You think more deeply than most people. But that depth isolates you. You see patterns others miss. You connect ideas across disciplines in seconds. You anticipate outcomes before conversations even finish. And yet, in ordinary social spaces, you feel strangely out of sync. Conversations feel slow, repetitive, predictable. You grow impatient, then guilty for feeling impatient. You oscillate between thinking, why doesn't anyone else see this? And maybe I'm the problem. Having a genius-level mind doesn't always feel like an advantage. Sometimes it feels like friction. The core tension isn't intelligence itself. It's the collision between cognitive intensity and human connection. Exceptional intelligence accelerates perception. But belonging requires pacing, mutuality, and shared reference points. When your mind runs ahead of the room, you don't just process faster. You experience a subtle but persistent social misalignment. And over time, that misalignment shapes identity. At first, you may interpret it as boredom, then as loneliness, eventually as difference. You start to sense that you inhabit conversations differently. You don't just hear what is being said, you analyze subtext, contradictions, future implications. While others are enjoying the surface, you are mapping the depth. That mapping can be exhilarating intellectually. But socially, it creates distance. The first psychological mechanism at play is metacognition, thinking about thinking. A highly intelligent mind doesn't simply generate ideas, it monitors them, refines them, critiques them in real time. You watch your own reasoning while it unfolds. You simulate alternative perspectives mid-sentence. You anticipate objections before they're voiced. This constant internal evaluation increases precision, but it also increases mental noise. In social interactions, this means you are rarely just present. You are analyzing the structure of the conversation, the coherence of arguments, the consistency of emotions. While others are reacting, you are processing layers. That depth can make you feel hyper-aware. But hyper-awareness often breeds self-consciousness. You notice when you speak too much. You notice when you oversimplify. You notice when others disengage. Your mind does not switch off easily. That constant metacognitive loop can slide into rumination. After a social event, you replay exchanges. You analyze whether you were too intense, too detailed, too blunt. You question whether others felt inferior around you or bored by you. The very intelligence that allows you to dissect complex systems now turns inward. Social friction becomes an intellectual puzzle you cannot stop solving. The second mechanism is cognitive complexity and overstimulation. A genius-level mind tends to process more variables simultaneously. You don't see isolated facts, you see interconnected systems. But most everyday environments are not built for that level of depth. Small talk feels like intellectual undernourishment. Repetitive tasks feel physically draining. Simplistic arguments feel almost painful. This mismatch creates subtle irritation. You may withdraw not because you dislike people, but because your nervous system is overstimulated by shallow interaction and understimulated by lack of depth. That paradox is exhausting. You crave complexity, yet complexity isolates you. You seek stimulating conversations, yet few environments consistently provide them. Over time, this can morph into impatience. Not loud arrogance, but quiet internal frustration. You finish people's sentences in your head. You want to accelerate discussions. When others struggle to follow your reasoning, you feel misunderstood. When you slow down to accommodate them, you feel constrained. That oscillation between wanting to connect and wanting to move faster creates relational strain. The third mechanism is belonging versus competence tension. Exceptional intelligence often brings external validation early in life. You may have been labeled gifted, advanced, different. Labels feel empowering at first, but they also create identity pressure. If you are the smart one, you begin to anchor your worth in cognitive superiority. Belonging then becomes complicated. In some groups, you may feel ahead. In others, threatened by someone sharper. Social comparison intensifies because intelligence becomes your primary currency. When someone outperforms you intellectually, it feels destabilizing. Not just competitive, but existential. If you are not the smartest, who are you? At the same time, being consistently perceived as the smartest can isolate you. Others may defer to you, challenge you less, or quietly resent you. You sense the shift. You tone yourself down. Or you over-explain. Or you retreat. Competence becomes both asset and barrier. The fourth mechanism is emotional granularity paired with intellectual intensity. Many highly intelligent individuals also possess heightened emotional awareness. You don't just feel emotions, you categorize them, analyze them, predict their trajectories. That can make you exceptionally perceptive in relationships, but it also increases internal load. You notice inconsistencies in your partner's tone. You detect subtle shifts in group dynamics. You sense when conversations are avoiding something unresolved. This perceptiveness can create friction. Others may feel exposed around you, or they may experience you as overly analytical. When you articulate emotional patterns others haven't processed, it can feel confronting rather than connecting. There is also self-concept fragmentation. When your cognitive abilities outpace your emotional or social development at certain stages, you may grow up feeling uneven. Brilliant in some areas, awkward in others. Advanced intellectually, but unsure relationally. That unevenness becomes part of your identity. You might feel simultaneously exceptional and inadequate. In professional environments, these dynamics intensify. A genius-level mind often thrives in complex problem-solving, but struggles with hierarchical politics or slow decision-making processes. You may see inefficiencies clearly and grow frustrated when they persist. You may struggle to tolerate mediocrity, not because you despise people, but because you cannot unsee better alternatives. Colleagues may interpret your directness as arrogance, your desire for depth as overcomplication, your impatience as dismissiveness. You might feel misunderstood, thinking, "I'm not trying to dominate, I'm trying to refine." Yet impact often matters more than intention. And when feedback accumulates, too intense, too critical, too fast, you begin adjusting your behavior. Some respond by muting themselves. They hold back insights to maintain harmony. Others double down, becoming sharper, more detached. Either strategy can increase isolation. The workplace becomes a terrain of self-regulation rather than authentic contribution. Romantic relationships introduce another layer. Intellectual compatibility matters deeply to you. You crave mental stimulation, nuanced conversation, shared curiosity. But when your partner processes more slowly or less abstractly, tension arises. You may feel alone even while connected. You may explain concepts repeatedly and feel unseen in return. At the same time, you may fear being intellectually surpassed. If your identity rests heavily on mental superiority, encountering someone equally or more capable can trigger insecurity. The oscillation between superiority and inadequacy creates internal instability. The hidden cost of a genius-level mind is not simply loneliness. It is hyper-responsibility. You often feel compelled to solve, to anticipate, to optimize. You see consequences others overlook. That foresight can make you feel burdened. You carry mental simulations of the future constantly. It is difficult to relax when you can always calculate the next variable. There is also existential tension. When your cognitive capacity allows you to analyze large systems, society, morality, mortality, you may confront questions earlier or more intensely than peers. Awareness becomes weight. You see complexity in issues others treat casually. That awareness can generate a quiet form of grief. But none of this means your intelligence is flawed. It means it requires integration. Exceptional cognitive ability amplifies whatever identity structure it inhabits. If your worth is tied exclusively to being right, intelligence will magnify defensiveness. If your identity allows nuance and flexibility, intelligence will amplify insight and compassion. The friction you experience is psychologically coherent. A fast-processing, pattern-detecting mind placed in slow, socially nuanced environments will feel tension. That tension is not proof of defect. It is a mismatch between speed and context. Integration begins with decoupling intelligence from superiority. You can possess exceptional reasoning without needing to dominate conversations. You can slow down without diminishing yourself. You can allow others' perspectives space without assuming they are inferior. Being the genius is isolating. Being a complex human with strong cognitive abilities is more stable. Labels crystallize identity. Fluid self-concepts allow adaptation. Having a genius-level mind does not doom you to isolation, but it does demand awareness. Not of your superiority, but of your sensitivity. Not of your brilliance, but of your humanity. You are not separate because you are too intelligent. You feel separate because your mind moves intensely. Intensity without integration feels like friction. Intensity with self-understanding becomes depth. And depth, when balanced, does not isolate, it connects.